When people first realize that they are highly sensitive, the conversation often focuses on the challenges. I know when I first discovered that about myself, I felt comfort in the fact that there was at least some understanding of why I felt the way I did. But the narrative out there showed a focus on things like sensitivities that made life difficult, like being sensitive to noise or other people's emotions or loud, busy environments. And, what was discussed much less often is how powerful these qualities can actually be, especially when you run a business. So, in this video, I want to explore some of the hidden strengths that highly sensitive entrepreneurs bring into their work and why these qualities often become some of their greatest advantages. So, highly sensitive entrepreneurs often have a strong ability to understand other people because we notice like the emotional tone and the nuance in things. We recognize shifts in energy and what's going on energetically in a space. And we often hear what someone is really trying to say, even when that person themselves hasn't fully articulated it quite yet. In client work, this ability can create a really powerful experience. People feel understood and they really feel seen, and they often reach insights much more quickly because the conversation moves directly to what matters most. And this depth of understanding becomes a real strength in many kinds of work. I know when I was at coaching school, I remember we used to have to follow scripts, and often I would deviate from the script, particularly when we were doing a prac and we had our leader coach listening in. They would be like, Christine, follow the script. And it's like, I want to follow the script, but something more important has shown itself intuitively, or I've picked up on something that this person needs more than me following a script, right? And I know that scripts are a great way to learn, but when you trust that inner knowing that there is more that this person needs, it lands so much better for them, right? So it's amazing when you tap into that strength. Another strength that I notice is what comes into business is around empathy. Empathy allows you to step into someone else's experience and understand what they're going through, right? So in business, this quality often shapes the way you design your work. So you begin thinking about questions like, what does my client truly need? And what would genuinely support them? And how can this experience help them move forward in a really meaningful way? When your clients feel that level of care and understanding, the trust starts to develop in a really natural way. And trust is one of the most important foundations in any business. So, highly sensitive people often notice patterns that other people don't notice or they overlook. So, you might notice recurring themes in the stories that clients share, or you might recognize connections between ideas that at first don't appear related at all. Or you might sense when someone is approaching a breakthrough moment and you get really quiet. This pattern recognition often becomes the foundation of like the insights that you offer in your work. And over time, many entrepreneurs begin developing frameworks or methods that reflect these patterns that they've observed. And these frameworks eventually become the structure through which their work is shared out in the world. So, highly sensitive people often gravitate towards work that involves depth. They enjoy deep, meaningful conversations and they appreciate exploring ideas thoroughly. And they tend to create experiences where real transformation can occur. Many people are searching for this, exactly that kind of depth. They want work that helps them move forward in a really meaningful way. And businesses that create that kind of environment often develop really loyal and engaged clients. Sensitivity also shapes the way that highly sensitive entrepreneurs communicate because they notice nuance and emotion, and they often develop a natural ability to express ideas in ways that resonate really deeply with people. Messaging becomes less about persuasion and becomes more about recognition. When someone hears your message and feels it and it reflects their experience, something really important happens. They begin to recognize themselves in the work. And this kind of communication often attracts clients very naturally because the message feels authentic and meaningful and genuine. So, one of the most interesting things, I would say, that I've observed is what happens when sensitivity is combined with a really clear structure. So, sensitivity brings insight and structure brings direction. When those two things work together, business owners are able to share their work consistently and sustainably because they've got a clear path that they can walk down. They know what they're saying, and it becomes a foundation that their business uses for clear marketing that feels really natural. Like the message becomes easier to express, and the right people start recognizing the work and being drawn to it. And then, because they have this fabulous plan, the business starts to grow and it grows in a really grounded, structured way. So, if you can recognize yourself in these qualities, your sensitivity may already be one of your most valuable traits that you bring to your work. Highly sensitive entrepreneurs often create businesses that combine depth, meaning, and genuine transformation for their clients. So, if you're curious about how your natural energy shows up in your marketing, I created a short quiz that explores the different types of marketing energy archetypes. And they go into all the different ways that we can market our business that work for our strengths and that connect us with our people. You don't have to be everywhere to do marketing. You just have to be in the place that works for you, that feels really natural, follows your style, your energetic style. When you are forcing yourself to do things that don't fit, everyone can tell that you're doing it, right? So you want to feel grounded in what you're actually doing and how you're expressing yourself in the way that feels right to you, because that's what creates connection for others. So I want you to think about that for a moment and take my quiz and see what you uncover. Like which of the strengths that you find in that quiz do you most strongly find in yourself?